Hello friends, good morning from the Back Porch Antiques. I am EJ and we are here this morning to talk about what's hot in our store right now. A lot of people want to know what's selling. What is it that I need to be bringing to you to buy? Some people who are sellers are bringing things to me to buy, and some people just want to know what it is that's selling well. So we're going to do a little video on that right now. We're going into summer, so things have slowed down just a little bit, as is the nature of retail industry, but I want to share with you some of the things that are still, and always will, at least in today's market, sell really well. First, I'd like to talk to you about local pottery. One of the hottest things that have come through my store in the last year is local pottery. You've heard me speak often if you've been into the store, or by chance if you've seen some of our YouTube videos, about Harmon pottery or Decker pottery. The Harmon pottery was in Mohawk, Tennessee, the west side of Greene County. And this is an example of a piece that was made probably at Mohawk Pottery, maybe not by any of the regular Harmon people. This might have possibly have been made by McFarland. Again, unless it's a sign piece, it's really hard to tell, but that's kind of my hypothesis on that piece. Definitely, I believe, a Greene County piece, probably a Western Greene County piece. And we've got some videos on how you can identify that just a little bit better if you'd like to search those out. But Greene County pottery sells really well, especially if by chance you find a Harmon piece that is signed, or if you hit the Holy Grail, a Hahn piece, decorated Hahn, or rather a signed and indicated Hahn piece. Christopher Alexander Hahn was a potter, and his piece has become extremely valuable here in recent markets. Also, this is a piece of Decker pottery. The Keystone pottery is in Washington County up the Irwin Highway. You can see the remnants of it still yet today. Late 1800s piece of Decker pottery, that's a good piece. Those pieces sell really well. Again, if you find something that has some decoration on it, some blue cobalt decoration, it will hold a higher value. That kind of brings me to a point that I'd like to make about collecting in general. If I can give you a piece of advice, if you are a collector, always buy the best that you can afford, because the good stuff will always be good. If you collect by chance pottery, buy the best pieces you can afford, because the normal pieces might possibly fall off as the market or demand falls off, but the really good pieces will always be really valuable. So save up your money. Instead of buying two average pieces, buy one really good piece. And I think your collection will benefit, so will your, let's say, investments. I believe that's a good point. Also, another piece of, another area of collecting that's really hot right now, for lack of better terminology, no pun intended, is uranium glass. And everybody loves that glowing glass. And there is a large market for this. There's a large group of collectors that love to collect this uranium glass. Again, the good pieces will always be valuable. I've heard a lot of people say, well, that's just a fad. Well, I've heard that about everything. And I just keep selling it and keep selling it. So if you are a uranium glass collector, the same thing holds true for you. Buy the best pieces that you can afford to put in your glowing glass cabinet. Now, these pieces are opalescent hobnail fitting pieces, and they've got a good glow to them. A lot of people collect that. They will specifically collect hobnail, or they'll specifically collect Fenton, or they'll specifically collect figurines or things like that. Whatever it is that you collect, grab the best that you can afford, and you will thank me later for that. Also, good tools sell really well right now, as you've probably seen some of our tool videos, but there are, we have a plethora of good tools, and we've got a large following of tool collectors that come see us, many of them weekly or more than weekly, and we're grateful for all of you who come see our tool selection. We've got a wonderful tool guy. Actually got several people who sell tools, but we've got one kind of a main guy that's a tool guy, and he cleans these up. This is a king cutter, pretty cool little hatchet, king cutter hatchet that's not been beat. A little bit of a, I guess maybe a point of advice for you tool collectors. Again, buy the best that you can buy, but if you'll notice on tools, you may find this particular same hatchet, and it may not be anywhere near as valuable as this one because it's been beat to death. You'll find where it's been hit with a hammer back here and been mushroomed out, or the edge has been cut off, or the lettering has been worn off, or the handle, the original handle, has been busted out of it. Again, quality is where the value's at. Collect the best that you can acquire. Again, king cutter hatchet here at the Back Porch. Pretty cool piece. sold a lot of good pocket knives lately. They have always been a good seller for me. This is a pretty cool example of a 1940 to 1964 case pocket knife. Red bone handle, really good. 2-blade there, early piece. Going on 80 years old, so something like that looks like this is going to sell pretty well. I don't have to explain anything to case knife collectors because they've got it figured out. They know what they want. Some people like patterns, some people like colors, some people like blade numbers, some people like ages. Case knife collectors or pocket knife collectors in general really have a specified desire for what it is that they want to collect. This, again, is a 1940 to 64 case. I believe that is a 2-blade Barlow. There may be a little different name for that. Somebody can tell me if that's the case. But pretty cool piece. And I have seen knife collectors that will just literally buy every old case knife they can get a hold of. And I've sold knives to that people. That people would come in here and say, "Well, you take for all of them," and I'll lay it on them if I get the chance. As long as I make a little money, I'm very happy to give you a good deal as well. So come see us at the Back Porch Antiques if you like any sorts of these collectibles. Old bottles. There is a large collectorship, if you will, of old bottles. This is a local bottle, a Greene County bottle, bottled here in Greeneville, Tennessee, at the Kist Bottling Company called Old Smoky. And if you'll check that out there on the bottom, you can see where it says Greeneville, Tennessee. A lot of people like these. I've sold these bottles before that are in really good condition in the $100 range. Any of the good Greeneville bottles will be $75 or more. Some of them up $300 or $400 for the more rare ones. But that's a pretty cool piece we have here at the back porch. And I don't know what it is about old peanut butter jars, but people really like old peanut butter jars, and they'll buy the fire out of them. And this is an example here, pretty rare size of the jumbo peanut butter. This is the 1.5 pound jumbo. It's got a reproduction lid on it, but that's what the lids would have looked like. This particular jar is priced at $89, but I'll promise you that if you can find one of those lids, original, in that kind of shape, it will bring more than the asking price of this jar. People love jumbo peanut butter jars, world peanut butter jars. You'll see a lot of those in old cabinets. Sadly, I'm sure a lot of them have got thrown away in estates. So if you were cleaning out an estate, please pay close attention to the peanut butter jars. There's value in them. So these are some of the things that have been selling well here at the Back Porch Antiques. Again, just a little reminder, if you are a collector or an investor in antiques, sometimes those go hand in hand. The best piece of advice that I can offer you is to buy the best that you can afford at your time of collecting, and you will thank me for it later because those pieces will hold their value and even grow. Should the market of one particular item or one particular genre fall off, those particular really good pieces will still hold their value. I'll give you an example, and then I'll leave you alone. But fine china is about as useless of an old thing as you can buy. I have a lot of people that call me that say that, hey, I've got my great-great-grandmother's England china, and I have to break their hearts and tell them that it's not worth really anything except sentimental value. And don't get me wrong, I'm as sentimental as the next guy, and if it's a family piece, please hang on to it and pass it on. And you never know, that market may eventually come back around, but there's no really market at all for china anymore. People don't like to display it. They sure don't like to use it because it's fragile and you can't replace it. I've seen a lot of that just tossed to the thrift stores, and if you go in any thrift store right now, you'll see shelves and shelves of it. However, to make my point and draw this to a conclusion, there are still very few elite collectors of fine china, and if you have those really special individual pieces, they go for a significant amount of money. So it's one of those things that even though the market has fallen off and 99% of the pieces of fine china by today, will say a conservative number of 90%, are pretty well lacking any value at all, there's still 10% of that collectorship out there that has significant value. So if by chance whatever it is that you collect does eventually fall off in favor, or it falls off in value, it falls off in the area of collectorship, then the really good pieces will still hold really good value. So that's my piece of advice for you today, is to collect the good stuff, buy the best that you can afford. We'll catch you later.